which didn't really make sense because I thought it would be a great way to meet somebody, you know, just to run them over in a car. It's like a meet cute, something to tell the grandkids, you know, but apparently not. Oh, hey, hi, sorry. You might notice that today's show is a little different. I'm not wearing my hat this time.
You're not? Oh,
no.
There it goes. Okay.
And also, the American flag is not in the background because this has nothing to do with the CIA or the FBI. We're doing a jib jabs. We've already done one jib jabs on.
I could still see the flag.
Lyndon LaRouche, and this one is about Juan Pujol Garcia, and this is full disclosure. This is based on a script I did for a previous podcast I had with Seamus. I had a previous show I was a guest on with Seamus.
Oh, you were part of the show. Shut up.
Called The Free Thought Prophet. It was regularly brought home to me. I'd say every week that I was not.
You were all part of the show.
I would get tweets every so often saying, "Remember, you are not one of us. You are not."
No.
So just to explain, don't worry. This is Jib Jabs, a sub podcast of the Jib, where we talk about people that we think you should know about because they're funny and interesting, and also we feel that they don't slot into the normal pattern we have of CIA and FBI, but you should still know about these people.
And you'd find fun.
What?
Yeah. And they will find fun. I mean, it's going to be interesting. So.
Well, I'm sure the chat will let us know if it's interesting or not. If it's not, they will let us know. What are you doing, Barry? Where are you going? And next week, I'll be frantically typing in the chat, leave me alone, like that, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Hi, by the way. We don't do that, do we, for the Jib Jabs?
Yeah, you know what? After all that build-up, I guess we don't have to, do we?
No, we don't. Normally we say, hi, my name is Barry, and some ridiculous thing, but I don't think we're doing it now.
Yeah. And I'm Seamus and some other...
ridiculous.
Yeah.
But we do have some announcements off the top, Seamus.
Oh, yeah, so I just wanted to have a nice shout-out to a few select people that have been, coming fans of the show. Linda, Megan, Tina, Danny, and Cindy, of course. Just wanted to say hi and thanks for all your support.
Who are these people?
People that love the show. They're awesome ladies.
We've never done shout-outs before. Are they paying you?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Not at all.
I mean, I wouldn't mind if they were. That's not an accusation.
No.
That's more of a... Like this.
I did supply them with my home address and a list of whiskeys that I enjoy.
There we go.
But
and there it is.
Just saying,
how easily your dignity is bought with a bottle of whiskey.
Hey, I still have my respect.
I guess it was more.
And now I have a case of whiskey. So what's your problem?
I guess it was more a few weeks ago before the tariff increase. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Fair enough. Now it's like gold dust.
Yeah.
Which is probably cheaper than whiskey at this stage. Right. But we're not here to discuss Cindy and Megan and Linda.
Tina, Danny, and Linda.
Danny. We're not here to discuss the shout-outs. We're here to talk about a Spanish guy called Juan Pujol Garcia. Okay. So let's just do that, yeah?
Okay. We're doing
Jesus Christ. You don't make such a big deal about everything. You can't just keep a hold of yourself. Juan Pujol Garcia was born in Barcelona, which is why I'm calling Garcia, because he was born in Barcelona, you see. In 1912. When he was 7, I'm not going to do this the whole time.
Yeah, please don't. Thank you.
When he was 7, he was sent to a Catholic boarding school. His mother, Mercedes, was very Catholic. How do you pronounce that, Mercedes? Mercedes. Yeah. Or Mercedes or Mercedes. I don't know. Anyway, that's his mother's name. It's a lovely name.
Fun segue? Maybe not a fun segue.
Go.
I have a cousin, which I haven't seen in a while, but every time I did see him, he would always force us to go to the strip club. It was like his thing. He's like obsessed. Like he's got a mental thing, I think, with it. So I still love you, buddy. But anyways, I mean, it's just whatever. But everyone, like, and now coming to the stage, Mercedes. It was like every freaking. There was always one girl named Mercedes.
All right. That's the classy strip joints, because like the dollar strip joints are more like, and here comes destiny. So. Or just like random gemstones, topaz, ruby, sapphire, So, his mother, who apparently was a classy stripper, was very Catholic. But his father, Juan, not Juan, but Juan, who owned a cotton factory.
Juan?
Joan. Juan.
Okay.
But that's what the sources say.
That's interesting.
We've got to follow the information where it leads, however bizarre.
Yeah. Wan and Juan?
Yeah.
Wan and Juan.
Yeah.
Wan and Juan.
Yeah.
Juan and Wan.
That's it.
It's like, what the hell? Okay. Sorry.
His father, Juan,
yeah.
who it makes him sound like a Chinese guy, who owned a cotton factory. He was not so much Catholic. At the age of 13, Juan was transferred to another Catholic school run by a friend of his father's, but he dropped out at the age of 16 after an argument with the teacher. So already, right? In this antebellum period, he worked in a hardware store, managed various businesses, and studied poultry farming at the Royal Poultry School in Arenys de Mar in Catalonia.
There's a Royal Poultry School.
Yep, only the king wants.
That's interesting.
I don't know if it's a school for royal poultry or if the poultry school is royal. It's not clear. In 1931, hot time in Spain, right?
Yeah.
King Alfonso XIII of Spain fled the country, and the Second Spanish Republic was established, led by Manuel Anzaña. There were many new policies, including banning the Jesuits, a reduction in the armed forces, and some agrarian reforms. There were also democratic elections, and Catalonia was given some measure of independence. That's good news. Juan Pujol's father died at the start of the Second Spanish Republic. That's not good news. While Juan Pujol was finishing his poultry farming course, but he left in the cotton factory, so they would have been quite well off. However, as part of the Republican drive to nationalize assets, the factory was taken over by the workers. Also this year, Pujol did his 6 months of compulsory military service, but he hated it due to an ongoing problem with authority. And that I understand, because no fucker's getting me up at 6 o'clock in the morning just to do a 6-mile jog. No, fuck that noise, man. I would be sucking the army. And the sergeant would be screaming in my face, and I'd be like, dude, come on, man. Come back in 2 hours, you know? Anyway, the Spanish Civil War broke out in 1936. This is one of the most complicated military adventures I've ever seen. And if you watch the show, you know I've seen many. Including anything in the Balkans or the last episode in Syria, which was incredibly complicated. The Republicans of the left-wing Second Republic government, plus communists and anarchists, were fighting a rebellion of right-wing nationalists, plus monarchists, conservatives, and reactionaries, which included Franco. So those are the two sides. And unless you've been listening very carefully, you might not even notice where the break came in the two sides of those lists, but that's breaking it down. There's a book called...
because history is messy.
It's very messy. This is
the hardest thing because... You know, like most of your basic school, they try to make everything very linear, very black and white.
Never like that.
No, it's not. And especially during this time, you had any time where there's any kind of revolution involving communists, then you had the Bolsheviks kind of come in and trying to run over all of it, and it's just huge.
It's a complete mess. There's a book called The Spanish Civil War, written by Anthony Beevor, which does a good attempt at trying to untangle the thing. If you're interested in reading about it, this has nothing to do with this podcast, but just it's a good book if you want to check it out.
Wells's book is really good.
What's it called?
Something about Catalonia.
Do you mean George Orwell?
Yes, Orwell. Why did I say Wells?
Oh, and Managed to Catalonia.
Yes, that's it.
That's the same time period. Yeah, very good.
Yeah. He was actually fucking there, so
Yes, yeah. I mean, Anthony Beevor was not there, so George Orwell has that going from.
Why did I say Wells? Anyways, sorry.
It's because he's got Orwell as well as in his name.
Yeah, close enough. Okay, let's go with that.
Pujol was managing a poorly performing poultry farm north of Barcelona when the Spanish Civil War broke out. His experience with committees here, along with what happened in his father's factory, contributed to a hatred of communism. His sister and mother were arrested by Republicans and charged with being counter-revolutionaries. He was then conscripted by the Republicans but refused to serve because of their treatment of his family. He hid at his girlfriend's house until he was captured. He was imprisoned for a week before being an unwitting part of a jailbreak by a Roman Catholic resistance group called Socorro Blanco, which means the White Help. And they hid him until they could produce fake identity papers that showed him to be too old for military service. He used more fake identity papers to re-enlist with the Republican military. That is Juan Pujol Garcia in his military uniform. He used fake identity papers to re-enlist with the Republican military. He intended to take on some important tasks and then desert immediately. He deserted to the nationalist side in 1938. However, he didn't like the fascists, who made up a large part of their forces either, and he was imprisoned by a colonel after saying nice things about the missing king, Alfonso XIII. Now, he hated communism and fascism. He was an old-school centrist, not like the new centrists who were always right-wing.
Yep.
He hated communism and fascism, represented internationally in his mind, and maybe all our minds, by the Soviet Union and Nazi Germany, respectively. And he was delighted that he had served in both militaries, or their representatives in the Spanish Civil War. As you said, the Bolsheviks came in and so on, right. Or their representatives in the Spanish Civil War, without performing a single useful military activity. After he was
totally useless.
I did nothing.
Yes.
Go Spain! Viva España! After he was let go from the Nationalist Army, he got married to Araceli González in Madrid.
Okay.
Madrid, not in Catalonia, famously, but I did the accent anyway because I'm pretentious. World War II. Ready for the sub? This is a serious business, okay?
Yeah.
In 1940, Juan Pujol decided he wanted to help Britain because they were fighting the Nazis. He said he could not turn a blind eye to the enormous suffering that was being unleashed by this psychopath, meaning Hitler. He approached the British embassy in Madrid, and he was just a guy, remember, right? He was just a guy. He approached the British embassy in Madrid a number of times, but they had no interest. After much rejection, he decided to sign up with the Abwehr, which is the German version of MI5, and then go back to the British embassy and offer his services as a double agent. Now, the Abwehr is the German version of MI5, right? MI5 is the British Internal Security Service.
Like basically the British CIA, right?
No, the British FBI.
British FBI, sorry. It's what's
MI6 is Military Intelligence 6, which is CIA, right? Now, the problem is during this script and podcast, and indeed during the war, and any war, America will have this same problem, as you will be aware, is that let's say some army is invading your country, and you have an agency set up for domestic security like the FBI, and you have an agency set up for foreign intelligence like the CIA. Who's responsible for that? There's a lot of crossover, there's a lot of confusion about who should be doing what, but the MI5 took point on a lot of this. And also, the MI6 wasn't known as MI6 back then in England. It was the Strategic Intelligence Service, I think. But I've called it the MI6 because they called it the MI6 afterwards, and it's just easier for everybody, I think, if you just use the James Bond service as MI6, right? MI5 is more like FBI. It's more like organized top level of cops and so on. But the Abwehr was the German version of MI5, which also found itself involved in spy work and so on. And then he went to the British embassy and offered his service as a double agent. Now, this was not entirely unusual. In fact, after the war, it was discovered that every single agent Germany sent to Britain during the war had given themselves up or turned as double agents or had been captured and put in jail. Every single one of them. There was not a single agent in Germany who was not either a double agent or in jail, which is a hell of a hit rate. 100%, right?
Yeah.
And now, I believe, I have scripted in here, our top 10 will be, not including, of course, Juan Pujol Garcia, our top 10 Nazi double agents.
Yay.
Yay! This is Eddie Chapman. Eddie Chapman, codename Zigzag, recruited by the Nazis but turned British double agent. He fed the Abwehr lies about V1 bombings, and he faked a sabotage bombing of the de Havilland factory, where they were making the fastest operational aircraft in the world at the time, called the Mosquito.
He also gave them the patent for cigarettes too, cigarette paper.
Did he?
Zigzag.
Were you doing research?
No, zigzags. Isn't that what they call the rolling papers?
I know nothing about rolling papers. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think that's what it's called. Sorry. Okay. It's a terrible joke. Somebody will yell at me.
Maybe it's a good joke. I don't know. I'm sorry. Let us know in the chat if that is a good joke or a bad joke. I know nothing about. I've never smoked cigarettes or drank alcohol or anything. I'm sorry. For fake service to the Nazis, this guy Zigzag was awarded the War Merit Cross Second Class, which the Germans call the Kriegsverdienstkreuz, and he was given a yacht. Oh. He was fired by MI5 in 1944 for involvement in way too many crimes, including gold smuggling, greyhound doping, blackmailing, and various low fraud operations.
Party guy. Yeah, okay.
Party guy. This is Duško Popov. Duško Popov, codename Tricycle, a Serbian intelligence... Yeah, it gets better. A Serbian intelligence agent who was recruited by the Nazis and turned MI6. He was part of Operation Fortitude, which we will discuss below. MI6 called him Tricycle because he led a team of 3 double agents. The Nazis gave him the codename Ivan. In August, I don't know, that just shows a remarkable lack of imagination, but anyway.
Yeah, really.
We called him Tricycle, we called him Ivan. We called him Ivan, it was very sensible names. In August 1941, he warned the FBI about an imminent attack on Pearl Harbor, but Hoover distrusted any information from known double agents and ignored him.
What?
Yeah.
No.
Pearl Harbor, as just to clarify, happened in December 1941, and he warned the FBI about it in August 1941. Mm-hmm. He met Ian Fleming a number of times, and he was reported numerous cases to be the inspiration for James Bond. And I think looking at that photo, we can see why.
Yeah.
Number 8 is Roman Chernявski. Let's say Chernявski. Roman Chernявski, codename Brutus, who was a Polish military pilot, part of an Allied intelligence network in France, became a Nazi spy after being captured, but later on worked for MI5 again as a double agent. What do you call them? Triple agents.
Yeah, really.
The Abwehr gave him the codename Hubert, which again...
Was Brutus a codename too?
Brutus was the MI5 codename for Roman Chernявski for that guy.
Isn't that a little like too on the nose?
It's very on the nose, yeah. Well, as we know, Brutus was an honourable man, as are they all honourable men.
Right.
Yep. And the Abwehr gave him the codename Hubert. He was an important part of Operation Fortitude, which I'm not talking about just yet. This is Arthur Owens. Arthur Owens, codename Snow, which I'm given to understand is an anagram of his name. Arthur Owens, codename Snow, was a Welsh businessman who used his business trips to Germany to spy for MI6. Later, he was recruited by the Abwehr and given the codename Johnny. These Abwehr guys need to work on their names. As with, it's ridiculous, right? With many of these people, you see, these guys are all fucking living in the shadows already. Do you know what I mean? They're just, they weren't sort of trained how to be cowboys. They were born cowboys and ended up as double agents. As with many of these people, he turned out to be less trustworthy. And in the end, neither the Abwehr nor MI5 trusted him. He was imprisoned for treason until the end of the war. And another bit of information is his daughter, Patricia Owens, was in the original 1958 movie, The Fly.
Oh, get out. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. But this is John Moe and Tara Glad. The photo is small because that's the size of the photo I gave to Seamus, in case you're wondering. John Moe and Tara Glad, codenames Mutt and Jeff, were two Norwegian... Mutt and Jeff is... do you know what Mutt and Jeff means?
It's, it's the... Isn't that a comic strip?
No, it's Cockney rhyming slang for deaf.
Oh.
You would say, I'm a bit Mutt and Jeff this morning. Oh, I'm a bit Mutt and Jeff this morning. Oh, leave it out, apples and pears. Oh, do you, etc., right? John and Moe and Torglad, codenames Mutt and Jeff, were two Norwegian spies working for the Abwehr who presented themselves to MI5 as double agents. They were an important part of the Norway branch of Operation Fortitude, which we will also be discussing a bit. Eventually, MI5 suspected their intentions and had them removed from intelligence operations. Any of these guys would make a full episode on their own, by the way. They're fascinating people because they're so outside the normal rules of society. They're all kind of fascinating. That is Henri Dericourt, codename Gilbert, or I guess Gilbert, depending on where you are.
Or number 14.
Number 14. I just saw that. No, sorry. Henri Dericourt, codename Gilbert or Gilbert or 14, was a French military pilot who worked to set up intelligence networks for the Allies in France. He failed an MI5 background check, but was recruited by MI6 anyway. Later, there were dark suspicions that he had been feeding so much intelligence to the Abwehr that he might have been responsible for the deaths of many British agents. Here, I know I can't see anything, but I can hear that. You know that, right?
Hear what? It's sparkling water. It's not anything.
My fucking ass, it's sparkling water. Anyway.
I'll show you exactly what it is. Whenever you're done with this. Go on.
Later, there were dark suspicions that he had been feeding so much intelligence to the Abwehr that he might have been responsible for the deaths of many British agents, which cannot help but bring joy to my heart. He was arrested in France in 1948, but the only witnesses against him, that is, with Nazi agents working in France, had all been executed for war crimes, so they couldn't do much about the case. There are even darker suspicions that MI5 deliberately hung out the British agents to dry, meaning let them be killed, to convince the Germans that certain intelligence sources were valuable, and framed Gilbert for the crimes. Some historians aren't even certain that Gilbert was Henri Dericourt and might have been a completely different person called André Latam. Dericourt was later involved in smuggling heroin from Southeast Asia as part of the Corsican mafia operation based in Marseille called the French Connection. Dericourt died in 1962 on an airplane full of gold in Laos.
Well, actually, I think Gene Hackman, Popeye Doyle, shot him on a yacht, if I remember the French Connection too.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah,
But,
that's a great
hey,
movie, by the way. French Connection is
hey,
a wonderful movie.
that's what it is. It's polar seltzer water, dude. That's what I'm drinking.
Is that,
Yeah, I just pour it in this.
are you serious? You're drinking
I'm dead
fizzy water.
serious. I'm dead serious.
Are you sick?
No, I drink it with a little bit of water. It's flavored. It's
Is it
orange.
flavored with alcohol?
No,
What's wrong with you? Who are you?
I'm trying. I'm being professional, sober for this
Do you
show.
know do you know it's nearly St. Patrick's Day? Do you know that?
I know.
This is an insult to my people.
I promise you, as soon as it's over, I'll be throwing down pints of dark
Okay.
pints of Guinness.
Okay.
Okay, I will tweet the pictures as soon as we're done with this, so you know.
Good.
But I have not changed.
Okay.
I am still your beloved Seamus that
Thanks.
partakes. So yeah.
Okay. It's Elvira Chaudroir.
Elvira.
Elvira, I don't know. She's a hell of a woman, isn't she?
Mm-hmm.
Wait till you hear this. Elvira Chaudroir, codename Bronx, was a Peruvian socialite.
What? Bronx?
That's what they called her. Was a Peruvian socialite living in France with, in the words of the MI5 background check, a colorful sex life and lesbian tendencies.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah, she did.
You,
Look at
you
her
go
there.
off, Queen.
That lady's in charge, right? Girl's in charge. She hung
Good for
around
her.
rich people. Go on.
Good for her.
Good for her. Yeah, she's in charge. Just do whatever the lady says, right? She hung around rich people, but her inveterate gambling led to money problems, which made her vulnerable. Now, we've seen this before, haven't we?
Oh, yeah.
With Robert Hansen. She was recruited by the Abwehr and given the code name Dorette, but immediately reported herself to MI6 as a double agent. She was part of a number of operations feeding the Germans incorrect intelligence, and a later MI5 report would call her probably one of our most reliable agents. Although that, as we have seen, that might not mean much because they're all scum. And scums. You know what I mean by scum.
Yeah,
in 1995, 50 years after the end of the war, she was awarded £5,000 for her wartime service. She died in 1996.
Nice.
That is Walter Dicketts. Walter Dicketts, codename Celery. Pause for laughter, yeah.
Was carrot and cucumber not taken? I mean, what?
There we go. And there it is. Well, Elvira maybe should have been cucumber. Walter Dix, codename Celery, had a string of failed marriages and mistresses and 23 aliases and petty crimes in his past when he volunteered to MI5 as a possible double agent, figuring he had nothing to lose. For this very reason, he was seen as believable from a Nazi point of view, the idea that he had a load of crimes and nothing to live for in England. Why wouldn't he go to Germany, right? He was sent to the Abwehr, who recruited him after a grueling interview procedure which involved giving him drugs and kind of torturing him. But they believed him, and then they gave him the code name Brown.
What?
Brown.
Brown?
He's Celery in England, and as soon as he goes to Germany, he's Brown. This guy got fucked, and he's like the guy in Reservoir Dogs. Why do I gotta be Mr. Brown?
Exactly. Yeah, where's Mr. Pink and Mr. White?
Yeah, I gotta be Mr. That's a little bit too close to Mr. Shit for my liking. After one operation, he returned to MI5 and threw snow under the bus, meaning Arthur Owens, leading to the incarceration.
You sure you weren't talking about White?
Leading to the incarceration of Arthur Owens. After the war, he set up an elaborate pyramid scheme, which eventually collapsed, as they always do, and he was jailed for 2 years.
Bummer.
Yeah, that's that. This is Wolf Schmidt. Wolf Schmidt was an Abwehr agent who was arrested immediately on landing in England and almost immediately agreed to work for MI5 because he believed his friend sold him out. This didn't happen, but he thought it did. MI5 renamed him Harry Williamson and gave him the codename Tate. Yeah. His Abwehr codename was Leonhardt. He was also... You what?
I said, okay.
No, they're just picking random names in the Abwehr. At least the MI5 are making an effort. He was also part of Operation Fortitude and helped reveal the exact scope and nature of German-Japanese cooperation. He was the longest-running double agent in the MI5 double agent program and was called one of the 7 spies who changed the world. In 1945, he managed to convince the Abwehr that the sea around Ireland had been comprehensively mined after a U-boat accidentally sunk off the Irish coast. The Nazis avoided this part of the sea thereafter, creating a safe corridor for Allied ships. He was awarded the Iron Cross by Germany, so fooled were they.
He looks like freaking Artie Johnson. The Wolfgang from Laugh-In.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't he?
He does, yeah. It looks like he's having a think. That's what he looks like. That is Paul Tummel. Paul Tummel, codename A54, was a high-ranking Abwehr officer who from 1937 was feeding reams of intelligence, first to the Czech government and then to the Czech government in exile in London. He was killed by the Nazis in Theresienstadt concentration camp in 1945.
That's a bummer.
It is. With the further the list we go down, the less information I'm going to have on them. That's Roger Grosjean, or Roger maybe, I don't know. Roger Grosjean. Roger Grosjean, codename Fido, was, yeah,
he's a dog.
There you go. Was a French pilot who was demobilized along with the rest of the French forces after the occupation of France. He signed up with the Abwehr, but secretly reported all his Nazi operations to MI5 debriefers in London. The French government awarded him the Croix de Guerre and the Légion d'honneur, and after the war, during the 1950s and 60s, in a seemingly unconnected news, he made a number of important archaeological discoveries on Corsica, which allowed historians to model Corsica's megalithic civilization.
What the hell? Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty wild.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And that's all I have on that guy.
So, Barry, you have a bonus round?
As always in these top tens, we have a bonus round. Yes. Okay. There you go. There she is. Look at her there. That is... our bonus double agent is Natalie Serguyev, codename Treasure, who was recruited by...
Oh, she's a treasure.
She is a treasure, isn't she? Who was recruited by the Abwehr. She approached the British embassy in Madrid. The British embassy in Madrid was busy as balls, wasn't it?
Exactly.
With double agents going in all day. She approached the British embassy in Madrid and presented herself for double agent duty on the condition that she could take her dog to England. As she... Wow.
That's a woman after my own heart.
Yeah.
I'll do it, but I got to bring my dog with me.
She wanted to take the dog because she was only given 6 months to live.
Oh, geez.
She had kidney disease, and she wanted to take the dog with her to England. So, yeah, I think she's after her own hearts there. She's thinking of the dog first, right?
You know what? I go back on the whole treasure thing. She is a fucking treasure.
Well, they agreed, and then they gave her a code name. Through a series of circumstances, her dog ended up in Algeria.
What?
Yeah.
Oh.
This is just the top 10, so I don't want to get into too much detail. But again, I could do a whole episode on this one. When she found out the dog had been run over accidentally...
Oh my God! What the fuck, Barry?
Oh, I know.
What the fuck? I'm the guy that's supposed to make people upset, not you.
I'm sorry.
We literally... Wait a minute. We were literally just talking about the episode that I'm doing.
Yes.
And you're like, okay, is there any kids going to be killed or raped? No. Is there going to be old people or anything? Like, no. Okay, I'm okay then. Things will be fine. And then you're like, oh yeah, the dog got fucking just turned to cement.
That's fair,
fuck, Barry.
That's very fair.
Wow.
I take full responsibility for that.
Wow.
Nevertheless, there are still more words written on this, and I should read them.
Yeah. Go for
it. Through a series of circumstances, her dog ended up in Algeria. And when she found out that the dog had been sadly run over accidentally, she blamed the MI5 and she threatened to blow cover. She was fired soon after D-Day, but her long-ass messages were very useful in decoding Enigma.
Oh, there you go. Alan
Turing, exactly. Yeah. What she did was she got these long-ass messages, and then they knew exactly what the German message would say when it was encoded, and it's very helpful if you're trying to crack a code to have both messages.
Yeah.
But the moral of the story is this kind of thing happened all the time. Okay. That is late stage Juan Pujol Garcia, right? Juan Pujol, meanwhile... What?
I said fun.
Yeah. Juan Pujol, meanwhile, before the top 10 we were talking about Juan Pujol Garcia, if you recall. Juan Pujol, meanwhile, contacted a Nazi agent in Madrid, and this Nazi agent specialized in identifying frauds, and he somehow convinced this guy that he was a pro-Nazi government official who regularly traveled to London on business, which was not true. He owned a poultry farm. Yeah, the Abwehr trained him in espionage and gave him an expense account. Always a danger if you're dealing with these kind of people to give them an expense account. Never give an expense account to spies or journalists, right?
Yeah.
That's the rule. Yeah. Just don't do it, right? You won't have a bank account left. He was given the code name Alaric by the Germans.
One more time.
Alaric.
Okay.
I don't know how to pronounce it. Alaric. How do you pronounce that?
I mean, that's better than Brown and Snow and Stan and Charlie and Ivan.
But it's still somebody's name.
Yeah.
It's just a name. It's not like code name Bananas.
Yeah, but I don't know. It just sounds better than.
It sounds very regal.
Yeah, it's a punch.
He was given the codename Alaric or Alaric or Alaric or Alaric, told to move to England and recruit agents there. Instead, he moved to Lisbon, which is famously not in England. Yeah. He moved to Lisbon using a fake diplomatic passport and using just the materials he could find in the local library and what he saw in the papers in the cinema. He wrote a bunch of fake espionage reports.
I love this guy.
Oh, it's brilliant. He pretended to be moving around England, recruiting agents, and he took the town names from a railway guide he got in the library. As he couldn't get his head around the imperial money, by the way, you know what imperial money is?
No, wait on me.
In England, they had imperial money, meaning it wasn't like dimes and nickels and fives and tens. It was like there was 12 pennies in a shilling, and there would have been like 20 shillings in a pound. And a half a guinea and 60 of these and 14 of those, right? That's imperial. Right. None of it makes any sense. He couldn't get his head around it no more than I can, right? Yeah. So he couldn't add up the numbers because you don't know what there's no tens, right? So when he was submitting the expense accounts, he itemized everything individually and sent it in one by one. As he knew nothing at all about Britain, one of the reports he said that his Glasgow contact would do anything for a litre of wine.
A litre
of wine. And I can promise you, Glasgow people still, and Irish people, we don't talk about litres. We talk, well, maybe with wine, but back then, no, he talked about pints.
Yeah.
At some point, now this, by the way, again, remember, he is just a guy. He's not working for anyone. He's on his own in a library in Lisbon fucking with the Nazis because he thinks it's funny, right? At some point, MI5 noticed that the Abwehr was receiving huge amounts of information, some of which was accidentally correct. Now, that was the danger. He made up everything, but some of the stuff, again, like I guess the law of averages dictates that some of it would accidentally be correct. But this amount of information, the MI5 knew that it was coming from a large network of German agents, and they launched their own counterintelligence operation. After the US joined the war in 1942, Juan Pujol went to the American embassy in Lisbon and they forwarded him to British intelligence. This time, British intelligence took him on immediately. His case handler was a guy called Tomas Harris who could speak Spanish, which is handy enough. Juan Pujol's first codename was Bovril, but they settled on Garbo because he was the best actor in the world.
Garbo? Okay.
Garbo. Greta Garbo.
Garbo. Okay.
Garbo.
Yeah.
Sorry, my Irish accent.
Greta Garbo.
Yeah, the best actor in the world. They sent so much information in their reports that the Nazis, who called this intricate network of spies Arabel, never needed to recruit any other spies in Britain. This information. Now, remember, the network of spies we're talking about is completely fictional. This one guy has invented a bunch of people, and I think we have a chart to that effect in our little collection of images. Mm-hmm. I got this from Wikipedia, right? And you can get it from Wikipedia too. That's just the top half of it, right? These are all Juan Pujol Garcia. Every single one of these people. And all the ones below it that you can't see are also Juan Pujol Garcia. He was writing reports for all of these guys and claiming expenses for every single thing they did.
So he made seven different identities that he was.
No, that's just a start. There was about 50.
Oh,
yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. The information he gave was either made up, right, completely made up, factual but irrelevant, or factual and relevant but too late. And this is where the MI5 really kicked it into a genius range. Yeah. On one occasion, the Nazis were provided with information about the North Africa landings in a letter postmarked beforehand, but artificially delayed by British intelligence. So they were basically fucking with post office postmarks. The Nazis responded to Garcia, not they didn't know it was Garcia. They said, "We are sorry they arrived too late, but your last reports were magnificent." It's a brilliant idea. Give correct intelligence, but just a little bit too late. It's very smart. Yeah. On another occasion, when Nazis shot down a civilian plane between Portugal and London, Juan Pujol angrily sent a message to the Abwehr that one of his agents could have been on board. The Nazis never attacked another civilian aircraft on that route.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Saving lives, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes he had to make up reasons why he didn't report something that was extremely obvious. He said his fake agent in Liverpool got sick, which is why he couldn't report about the massive fleet leaving that port. A fake obituary was placed in the local paper to back him up. The Nazis ended up paying... Oh, no, this is not the best part. The Nazis ended up paying a pension to the agent's widow.
That didn't exist.
The fictional agent. All of these people are fictional. The Nazis received his reports in Madrid. They didn't realize they were receiving them from Lisbon, but the Nazis received his reports in Madrid, encrypted them using Enigma, and sent them to Berlin. The original text and the intercepted Enigma-coded text were then sent to Bletchley Park to give them the best possible sources to crack Enigma. And if you remember, Treasure was doing the same thing.
Yeah.
If you're going to crack a code, you need the back end of it as well as the front end of it, or it's just going to be an absolute nightmare, right?
Yeah, till MI6 killed her dog. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a nightmare anyway. Even though they had all the information, it was still a nightmare to crack that thing. Can you imagine if they didn't have the back end?
Imagine how much more she done if they didn't fucking kill her dog.
Yeah.
I'm not over this.
They didn't kill her dog. Her dog died accidentally. He got run over accidentally. She blamed MI5 for it. They didn't.
Well, I would too. Assholes. Fair
enough. Well, they did because they promised they'd take care of the dog.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, here we go. I threatened you with this earlier. This is Operation. This is Operation.
Flatwood.
Fortitude.
Okay.
This is Operation Fortitude. As you Americans, Fortitude. This is Operation Fortitude. In 1944, the Nazis suspected an invasion of Europe and told Juan Pujol to be vigilant. The D-Day landing was called, as you know, Operation Overlord, and the efforts to hide the timing, location, and scale of the invasion were called Operation Bodyguard, and the specific effort to make it look like there were troops preparing to attack Calais and Norway was called Operation Fortitude. As per the previous schemes, Juan Pujol would send accurate information, but too late to do anything about it. On the night of the 5th, 6th of June, 1944, he sent some messages to a Nazi radio operator at 3 a.m., but did not receive an acknowledgement until 8 a.m., which enabled Juan Pujol to add even more useful, but even more out-of-date information. Juan Pujol pretended to be disgusted by the incompetence of the Nazi radio staff. I cannot accept excuses or negligence. If it wasn't for my ideals, I would abandon the work.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Oh, yeah. Classic Juan Pujol there, right? Juan Pujol sent a message to convince the Nazis that a fake military group was massing in southeast Britain under General Patton. He managed to convince the Oberkommando der Wehrmacht, the OKW Nazi High Command, that the Normandy landings were a diversion from the real invasion, which would happen in Pas-de-Calais. This was supported by fake airplanes, inflatable tanks, fake radio transmissions, and special machines stamped tank tracks. You know those Caterpillar tracks? Yeah. Special machines stamped those tracks along dusty roads in southeast England. The Nazis described this fake intelligence as especially valuable. And I think we have a photo there of, as you recognized when I said the words, right? That is one of the inflatable tanks. That's just an inflatable tank. Someone had to design
from a distance, right?
From a distance, you'd be looking at this from the air, effectively, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I mean, from here, it's not. It's quite. I mean, it's not obviously a fake, even from this distance. I mean, I'm telling you, it's a fake, so that helps. You can see some of the lines, I guess, of the inflation lines, but even not bad. Based on this intelligence, they kept 22 entire divisions in Pas-de-Calais while the Allies continued to unload troops on Normandy. There were more Nazi soldiers in Pas-de-Calais 2 months after the D-Day than there were on D-Day.
Wow.
This guy, Juan Pujol, also managed to convince the Nazis that an invasion of Norway from Scotland was planned, which I talked about earlier. The 2 Norwegian guys were a part of that as well, which caused Hitler to commit far more troops to Scandinavia, around 400,000 Nazi troops than would otherwise be necessary. This was all part of the war effort.
Yeah. All those Scottish guys are just holding out for those liters of wine.
Liters of wine. Juan Pujol was asked by the Abwehr about how V-1 rockets were falling in England. He couldn't use any of his usual tactics, so he was fake arrested and returned to active Nazi duty a few days later. This gave him an excuse to fake stay out of London. All in all, the Nazis sent him, in total, they sent him $340,000.
Holy shit.
To support a total of 27 agents, not 50, it was 27. 27 agents.
Sorry, is that in today's money or is that in their time?
Well, it says dollars, so I'm going to guess today's money.
Okay.
Because it would have been pounds, wouldn't it, if it was then money?
True.
Although I guess it would have been lira.
It's going to be a lot of fucking money either way, is what we're saying.
Or pesetas, because he was in fucking Portugal. Right. After all in all, the Nazis sent him $340,000 to support 27 agents, all of whom were fake. For feeding the Nazis so much information, he was awarded the Iron Cross second class over the radio on the 29th of July 1944. And for being a double agent, he was awarded an MBE from George VI of England on the 25th of November 1944. He's the only person to receive decorations from both sides during World War II.
Wow, that's impressive.
What happens to these people after the war? Well, let's find out. In 1947, fearing reprisals from angry ex-Nazis who never actually figured out he was a double agent, MI5 faked Juan Pujol's death from malaria while he was in Angola. But he secretly moved to Venezuela and ran a bookshop. In 1984, after a 13-year investigation that included interviewing Anthony Blunt of the Cambridge Five and calling every J. Garcia in the phone book of Barcelona, an intelligence expert called Rupert Allison discovered Pujol's identity and met him in New Orleans.
Oh, shit.
Allison is an interesting character in his own right, having delivered lectures on intelligence at both KGB headquarters in Moscow and CIA headquarters in Langley, Virginia. Allison also lost a libel action in 1998 against English political comedy show Have I Got News For You because they said he was a conniving little shit. On the 40th anniversary of D-Day, the 6th of June 1984, Juan Pujol travelled to Normandy to visit the cemetery there. He died in Caracas in 1988 and is buried beside the Caribbean Sea.
Wow.
That is the end of our Jib Jabs. The Jib Jabs Juan Pujol Garcia. Yeah.
Well done, man.
And I thought you guys should know about it.
Yeah, that's a fucking hero.
Yeah.
Fun guy, too. I mean, he fucking made some... He made money off both sides, but he was doing the right thing all along. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, he hated the communists and he hated the fascists and he just wanted them all to fucking burn.
Yeah.
That's it. That's our show.
Awesome.
Thank you.
We don't even have...
we don't do that.
We don't even have a... Yeah, like we prep for a normal show day. We don't have to
that was my fault. I asked you to do that, yeah.
That's okay. It was
Jib Jab.
Yeah, so...
we're done.
What are we doing next time, Barry?
In 2 weeks. I don't know. Is it me again?
Well, it's either a CIA or we shift to Founding Feckheads. Or if you want to, I mean, I might have a script by then. I don't know. It's up to you.
Well, you know what? Let's leave it as a surprise.
Okay. Yeah.
See you in 2 weeks, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.